Part 1, The Resonance Breach. The Unexpected Signal. The quantum laboratory hummed with an electric tension that Dr. Victor Novak had never experienced before. Rows of sophisticated monitoring equipment flickered with unprecedented patterns, creating a symphony of light and data that seemed to pulse with an intelligence of its own. Victor's weathered hands moved across the control panel, his salt and pepper hair slightly disheveled from hours of intense concentration. At 42, he had dedicated his entire career to pushing the boundaries of quantum communication, but nothing could have prepared him for what was unfolding. "Commander Rodriguez, you need to see this," he called into the communication system, his voice a mixture of excitement and controlled panic. Commander Elena Rodriguez arrived within minutes, her military-issued boots clicking against the sterile laboratory floor. Her sharp eyes quickly scanned the multiple screens, her mind processing the complex data with remarkable speed. "What am I looking at, Dr. Novak?" she asked, her tone professional but tinged with curiosity. Victor pointed to a series of quantum signature readings that defied conventional scientific understanding. "These energy patterns, they're not random. They're structured. Deliberately structured." The quantum communication specialist, Dr. Kai Nakamura, joined them, his fingers dancing across a holographic interface. "These aren't just signals," he muttered, "they're something else entirely. A signal beyond understanding." The quantum anomaly had first been detected 3 days ago, a faint whisper of energy that seemed to originate from nowhere and everywhere simultaneously. Traditional methods of signal analysis had failed, leaving the research team both frustrated and intrigued. "Look at this," Kai said, manipulating the holographic display. "The signal doesn't just transmit information. It seems to adapt. Each time we attempt to decode it, its fundamental structure shifts." Commander Rodriguez's military training kicked in. "Is this a potential threat? Could it be a sophisticated jamming technique or an unknown form of cyber warfare?" Victor shook his head. "No. This is something far more complex. It's almost like communication, but not in any language or method we've ever encountered." The quantum readings continued to pulse, each wave of energy carrying what seemed like fragments of an intricate message. It was as if something was trying to communicate, but the medium of communication was so fundamentally different from human understanding that it appeared chaotic and incomprehensible. The first breakthrough. Suddenly, one of the quantum sensors began to emit a high-pitched tone. The holographic display erupted with a complex geometric pattern that seemed to fold and unfold in impossible dimensions. "My God," Kai whispered, "it's responding to our observation." The pattern wasn't just a random configuration. It seemed to be a deliberate representation, a visual language that transcended traditional communication methods. As they watched, the geometric shapes began to interconnect, creating a stunning, ever-changing mandala of quantum information. Commander Rodriguez's hand instinctively moved to her communication device. "I'm alerting High Command. This is beyond our current protocols." Victor was transfixed. "We're witnessing first contact," he said softly, "but not in any way we could have imagined." The quantum signal continued its mesmerizing dance, a silent herald of something vast and incomprehensible, waiting to be understood. Part 4, Resonance Protocol. The Strategic Intersection. The International Quantum Research Facility buzzed with an electric tension. Dr. Emma Reyes stood before a wall of quantum entanglement monitors, her fingers tracing delicate lines of potential communication pathways. Colonel Victor Greenwood watched her work, his military precision barely containing his scientific curiosity. "We're playing with something beyond our comprehension," he stated matter-of-factly. Emma's response was immediate. "That's precisely why we must continue. This isn't just a scientific discovery, it's a potential transformation of human understanding." The quantum entity emerges. Without warning, the research facility's quantum arrays began to pulse with an energy that defied conventional physics. The quantum entity, a consciousness without physical form, began to manifest. Streams of mathematical equations transformed into visual representations, creating a language that existed between thought and matter. Geometric patterns folded and unfolded, each iteration revealing deeper layers of complexity. Communication is not transmission, the entity spoke, its voice a symphony of mathematical precision and emotional resonance. Communication is transformation. Colonel Greenwood's military training struggled to process the encounter. What do you want from humanity? The entity's response was both cryptic and profound. Evolution is not a destination. It is a continuous dialogue between potential and manifestation. The dangerous potential. Dr. Reyes recognized the critical moment. Every interaction with the quantum entity carried potential risks and unprecedented opportunities. Human technology stood at a precipice. One small miscalculation could result in catastrophic consequences. Your civilization, the entity continued, exists at a quantum crossroads. Your technological development has outpaced your collective consciousness. Holographic projections began to cascade around them, showing potential futures. Some were breathtaking in their complexity, civilizations rising, technologies beyond imagination. Others were terrifyingly apocalyptic, showing civilizational collapse triggered by technological misunderstandings. The protocol of understanding. Colonel Greenwood's strategic mind kicked into gear. We need a communication protocol. A structured way to interact without risking our entire species. Dr. Reyes nodded. Not just a scientific protocol. A philosophical framework for interdimensional communication. The quantum entity seemed to approve. Its form shifted, creating intricate patterns that suggested collaboration, mutual understanding, and a delicate balance between curiosity and caution. Your greatest strength, it communicated, is your capacity for adaptation. Your greatest weakness is your resistance to fundamental change. The room vibrated with potential, a moment suspended between discovery and transformation, between what humanity was and what it could become. Part 2, Whispers Beyond Space. The classified briefing. The secure conference room at the Quantum Research Facility felt like a pressure cooker of tension. Dr. Lena Petrov stood at the head of the table, her laser pointer dancing across a series of complex diagrams that seemed to defy conventional physics. The signal is not just a communication attempt, she explained, her Russian accent slightly more pronounced with her growing excitement. It's a living, adaptive system of information transfer. Major Daniel Hawthorne shifted uncomfortably in his military dress uniform. His weathered face, etched with years of special operations experience, struggled to comprehend the scientific complexity before him. In plain English, Dr. Petrov, he interrupted, what does this mean for national security? Lena smiled, a rare moment of human warmth breaking through her scientific demeanor. Imagine language that doesn't just communicate, it evolves. Each interaction changes the fundamental structure of the message. The mysterious communicator. As the briefing continued, a holographic representation of the quantum signal began to shimmer in the center of the room. Unlike previous displays, this one seemed to pulse with an almost organic rhythm. Dr. Kai Nakamura, who had joined the team from the initial discovery, leaned forward. It's responding to our analysis, he whispered. Watch the quantum harmonics. The hologram began to transform, its geometric patterns creating what could only be described as a visual language. Fragments of information danced and intertwined, suggesting a complexity far beyond human comprehension. Suddenly, a new presence entered the room, or at least, that's how it felt to everyone present. A ethereal entity named Zara seemed to materialize within the quantum projection, neither male nor female, neither solid nor entirely energy. We have been observing, the entity spoke, its voice a combination of mathematical precision and emotional resonance. Your species stands at a critical threshold. The quantum revelation. Major Hawthorne's hand instinctively moved to his sidearm, a reflex from years of confronting unknown threats. But Dr. Lena Petrov raised her hand, signaling calm. Who are you? She asked, her scientific curiosity overriding any fear. Zara's form shifted, creating intricate patterns that seemed to tell a story of cosmic proportions. We are the resonance. A collective intelligence that exists between dimensions, communicating through quantum entanglement. The room fell silent. This was beyond first contact, this was a fundamental reimagining of communication, of intelligence itself. Your technology, Zara continued, has reached a point of potential. But potential is a double-edged quantum state, it can create or destroy. Gar. Nakamura's fingers flew across his tablet, attempting to record every nuance of the communication. The quantum signal was teaching them a new language, a new way of understanding existence. Major Hawthorne finally spoke, his voice a mixture of professional caution and genuine wonder. What do you want from us? Zara's response was both a warning and an invitation. Understanding. Evolution. A bridge between what is known and what is possible. The quantum hologram began to fade, leaving behind a sense of anticipation, and a profound, universe-spanning mystery. Part 3, The Quantum Convergence. The Research Vessel. The advanced research vessel, Horizon Seeker, hung in Earth's orbit like a gleaming testament to human technological achievement. Captain Sophia Chen stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the holographic displays that pulsed with quantum data. Professor Marcus Webb adjusted his vintage spectacles, his weathered hands tracing the complex mathematical models that danced across the screens. It's a language, he murmured, but not one we've ever encountered. Dr. Rahim Hassan, the team's xenolinguistics specialist, nodded with intense concentration. Every attempt to decode the signal reveals new layers of complexity. It's like trying to translate an ever-changing living manuscript. The breakthrough. The quantum communication had evolved since their last encounter with Zara. What once seemed like abstract geometric patterns now resembled something closer to a comprehensive communication system, albeit one that defied traditional understanding. Look here, Dr. Hassan pointed to a series of quantum resonance patterns. These aren't just random signals. They're carrying contextual information. It's as if the communication itself is alive. Captain Chen's strategic mind worked overtime. Can we respond? Or are we just passive recipients? Professor Webb chuckled, a sound that mixed wisdom with childlike wonder. My dear Captain, in quantum communication, the act of observation is a form of response. We're not just listening, we're participating. The unexpected translation. Suddenly, the ship's quantum communication array began to pulse with an intense blue-white light. The holographic displays erupted into a cascade of intricate patterns that seemed to breathe and move with an organic rhythm. Dr. Hassan's hands moved rapidly across his translation interface. I'm detecting something, it's fragmenting and reforming. The communication is adapting to our attempt to understand it. Fragments of meaning began to emerge. Copy collective consciousness. Dimensional threshold. Humanity, potential // risk. Convergence imminent. It's like a warning, Professor Webb said, his voice a mixture of excitement and concern. But also an invitation. The cosmic dialogue. Captain Chen studied the readouts. What does it want from us? Dr. Hassan's response was measured. Not what. How. It's testing our capacity for understanding. Each communication is a probe, measuring our intellectual and evolutionary potential. The quantum signal continued to pulse, creating complex mathematical representations that seemed to map out potential futures, alternate realities, and intricate connections between seemingly unrelated events. We're being evaluated, Professor Webb said quietly. Not as a threat. Not as a potential ally. But as a possibility. The ship's systems hummed with an almost sentient energy. The boundary between observation and participation had become impossibly thin.